The scoreboard told one story, 6-2, 6-2, a straight sets defeat, a loss that looked on paper like domination. Alex Eala's six-match winning streak on grass had come to a screeching halt. Her dream of securing a Wimbledon seed had been dealt a brutal blow, and her friend, Iva Jovic, had done what she always seemed to do, win. But here is the thing about this match. The scoreboard did not tell the full story, because what happened after the final point, what happened in the locker room, what happened on social media, was something that nobody expected, something that made fans forget about the loss, something that reminded the world that some things matter more than winning. Today, on Top Spin, we are breaking down the HSBC Championships clash that left everyone talking, not about the score, about the reaction. For more coverage in tennis, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let us set the scene. Queen's Club, London, the HSBC Championships, round of 16, Alex Eala versus Iva Jovic, their second meeting in just 15 days. The first was at the French Open, where Jovic won in straight sets. That loss haunted Eala. She used it as fuel. She went on to win the Birmingham Open, her first grass court title, and entered this match on a six-match winning streak on grass. The expectations were high. Filipino fans were hopeful. The tennis world was watching. Could Eala finally crack the code against her American friend? The answer, sadly, was no. From the very first game, Jovic seized control. She broke Eala immediately, racing to 2-0. Eala managed to get on the board in the third game, making it 2-1, but that was as close as she would get. Jovic responded with a second break in the fifth game, extending her lead to 4-1. Although Eala broke back in the sixth game to trim the deficit to 4-2, Jovic answered immediately with another service break. The statistics were brutal. In the first set alone, Jovic had a 12-6 lead in winners over Eala. Her first serve percentage was untouchable. She won 81% of her first serve points, while Eala managed just 52%. The first set ended 6-2 in just 35 minutes. The second set was more of the same. Eala held serve to open the set, giving fans a flicker of hope at 1-0, but Jovic immediately reeled off 3 consecutive games, highlighted by a break in the third game to build a 3-1 lead. She never looked back. A forehand winner gave Jovic a second break point and a 4-1 lead. She held serve to go up 5-1. Eala managed to hold serve in the seventh game, pushing the score to 2-5, but the deficit was too much to overcome. Jovic converted her second match point, and the match was over. Final score, 6-2, 6-2. Total time, just 76 minutes. Let us dig deeper into the statistics, because the scoreline alone does not capture why this loss was so painful for Eala, and why the reaction afterwards was so unexpected. Jovic finished the match with 26 winners and only 9 unforced errors. That is an almost perfect ratio. She was broken only once while converting 5 breakpoints against Eala. Her first serve was a weapon she wielded with precision, keeping Eala on the defensive throughout. Eala, by contrast, struggled to find her rhythm. She committed 19 unforced errors. Her first serve percentage was a career worst 52%. She could not dictate points, she could not neutralize Jovic's power. She looked, for the first time in weeks, like the player who had lost in Paris, the player who could not solve the Jovic puzzle. Jovic's performance was nearly flawless. The 18-year-old American, ranked number 19 in the world, has now beaten Eala twice in 15 days on 2 different surfaces, on clay at the French Open, on grass at Queen's Club. She has proven that her game translates to any surface. She has proven that she has Eala's number, at least for now. Eala's 6-match winning streak on grass came to an end. The streak had included her historic Birmingham Open title, where she broke the Czech curse and won her first grass court trophy. It had included a dominant first-round victory over Zhang Shuai at Queen's Club. But Jovic was a different beast, a friend who, on the court, shows no mercy. Now we get to the part that shocked everyone. Because after a loss this brutal, after a rivalry that could easily become bitter, the expected reaction would be silence, coldness, distance. That is not what happened. In her post-match interview, Iva Jovic did not celebrate her victory. She did not boast about her 26 winners. She did not talk about her ranking or her future. Instead, she talked about her friend. She said, quote, "I hope we can play in later stages of tournaments. Hopefully, when both of our rankings go up, we'll be on opposite sides of the draw, so we can only meet in the semifinals or finals." That is not trash talk. That is respect. That is a friend acknowledging that her opponent deserves better. That is a champion who understands that beating your friend is not the same as beating an enemy. Jovic also made sure to address the state of their relationship. She said, quote, "There's no hostility. We chat like normal in the locker room. Everything is fine. We're friends again off the court." In a sport where rivalries often turn personal, where friendships are tested and broken, Jovic made it clear, this is competition, not war. They can be opponents on the court and friends off it. Isla's reaction was equally unexpected. She did not make excuses, she did not blame the surface, she did not complain about the draw. She simply acknowledged that Jovic was the better player on the day. According to sources, she congratulated Jovic warmly at the net. They hugged, they exchanged words that no one else could hear, and then she walked off the court with her head held high, not defeated, determined. The fans' reaction was also surprising. Instead of attacking Jovic, instead of making excuses for Isla, the Filipino fans showed grace. They flooded social media with messages of support for both players. One fan wrote, "Iva Jovic is a class act. She beat our Alex fair and square, but she also showed respect. That is what sportsmanship looks like." Another fan wrote, "This rivalry is going to be special. Two friends pushing each other to be better. That is not hate. That is love." The tennis world took notice. Commentators praised both players for their maturity. Analysts noted that rivalries built on respect are more sustainable than rivalries built on animosity. And fans on both sides of the world agreed. This is how sports should be. Let us be honest about why Eala lost, because understanding the weaknesses is the first step to fixing them. First, the serve. Eala's first serve percentage was 52%. That is not acceptable at this level. Against a player like Jovic, who attacks second serves relentlessly, a low first serve percentage is a death sentence. Eala's second serves were sitting up, inviting Jovic to step in and dictate, and Jovic obliged. She won 81% of her first serve points, while Eala won just 52%. That gap is insurmountable. Second, the power differential. Jovic hits the ball heavier than Eala. Her ground strokes have more pace, more spin, more penetration. On grass, where the ball skids low and fast, that power is amplified. Eala, a counterpuncher by nature, could not redirect that power consistently. She was pushed behind the baseline, forced to defend, unable to attack. Third, the mental game. Jovic has now beaten Eala twice in 15 days. She has established a psychological edge. Every time they play, Eala knows that Jovic has beaten her before. That knowledge can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Eala needs to find a way to break that mental barrier. She needs to believe that she can beat Jovic, not hope, believe. Fourth, the game plan. Jovic's team clearly studied Eala's weaknesses. They attacked her backhand. They served wide to pull her off the court. They rushed her on every point. Eala's team, by contrast, seemed to have no answer. There were no visible adjustments, no change in tactics. That is concerning. None of this is permanent. Eala is 21 years old. She has time to improve, but she and her team must use this loss as a learning experience. They must go back to the practice court and work on the serve. They must develop a plan for power players. They must find a way to beat Jovic, because if Eala wants to win Grand Slams, she will have to go through players like Jovic. Better to learn now than later. Let us zoom out, because this loss, as painful as it was, is not the end of Alex Eala's story. It is a chapter, and the book is far from finished. First, the Wimbledon seeding. Eala entered the HSBC Championships ranked number 33, just one spot away from the top 32 cutoff for Wimbledon seeds. A win over Jovic would have pushed her closer. Instead, the loss keeps her on the bubble. She will need to perform well at the Bad Homburg Open and the Berlin Tennis Open to secure her seeding. The dream is not dead, it is just harder. Second, the learning experience. Eala has now lost to Jovic twice in 15 days. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. Eala and her team must study the tape. They must figure out what Jovic is doing that Eala cannot handle. They must develop counter strategies, because Jovic is not going away. She is 18 years old. She is only going to get better. If Eala wants to be a Grand Slam champion, she must learn to beat the players who beat her. Third, the emotional resilience. Eala has been through so much. The French Open heartbreak, the fan controversy, the Birmingham triumph, the $20 million rejection, the royal recognition, the earthquake at home, and now another loss to her friend. That is a lot for a 21-year-old to carry. But Eala has shown time and again that she is resilient. She gets knocked down, she gets back up. She learns, she grows. This loss will not define her, it will fuel her. Fourth, the friendship. In a world where sports rivalries often become toxic, Eala and Jovic are showing a different way. They compete fiercely on the court. They respect each other off it. They hug at the net. They chat in the locker room. They want each other to succeed. That is rare, that is beautiful, and that is the reaction nobody expected. So, here is where we leave you. Alex Eala lost to Iva Jovic, 6-2, 6-2. It was a tough loss, a humbling loss, a loss that exposed weaknesses, but it was also a loss that revealed something beautiful: friendship, respect, sportsmanship. The tennis world expected drama, it got grace, and that, more than any victory, is worth celebrating. For more coverage in tennis, subscribe and hit the notification bell.